Okay. Okay. Well, welcome back. Um, Hello. I have to get a couple things, but short and sweet. I'm about to jump off here. Tonight's episode is not for kids. Don't let them watch at all. Um, this is a serious topic. We're talking about very dark stuff. We're talking about crimes against kids, um, and other stuff. So yeah, the kids aren't watching this episode. Not like kids should be watching my episodes anyway, but especially today. With that being said, I gotta go get a cigar. Give me 1 second. Now, excuse me. I'm off camera, but you can still hear me. Today's episode is about the Epstein files, which, yeah, that doesn't need an introduction, I don't think. But I've been hiding a lot of information. Um, hmm, I had a damn. I had a ashtray, and now I don't know where it went. Damn. Damn. Okay, we gotta find that. While I'm looking for that, I found it right here. While I found that, I've been sitting on a lot more than I've been letting on to people. And I think it's time to talk about it because now's the time to. Now's the time where they're not going to be able to get me in trouble or anybody or you or them or whatever. You know what? Somebody's got to speak, and we all should be speaking and telling our own stories. So I'm going to tell you what I know, and then I'll also talk about a personal story about who I know. Or actually, I'm not going to say who I know at all, but I will say a little bit about their story because it ties in all of this. Um, I need to go use my inhaler because I'm a little congested. We're in my garage, obviously. But I'll be right back, and then we will jump right into this because it's time. It's time, Americans, to legitimately just tear it all down. I mean, literally, don't file your taxes type thing. Don't let your kids go to public school. I mean, we're going off the deep end. So I'll be right back, and we'll jump right into this. Okay, we are back. Um, Sorry about that. Naturally, I have asthma and piss off. Sometimes that's a thing. So yeah, I took notes today because I kind of want to stay on task, and I struggle to do that. Don't tell anybody. Um, I think struggling to stay on task helps with storytelling, which is what this podcast is about. So again, piss off. Who cares? Um, Now there's a lot of stuff that's going on. So I'm kind of just gonna get a second to get my bearings. But um, yeah, dude, we're gonna talk about what's going on currently, and then we're gonna take it back 10 or so years, roughly, about 9.5 years ago. Um, hmm. I'm going to bring up some deaths that have happened recently, which is pretty crazy. I probably should have written these down when they died. That ain't good. I'm a dumbass. I didn't do my homework. I'll let you guys do the homework, but it's interesting. There's definitely some weird connections. Um, yeah. Shoot, I might actually have to pause and pull up when this person died because yeah, that's very relevant. But yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put a note here because I can just pause the recording and press play again. It's no big deal. To you guys, it'll be half a second that goes by. To me, it'll be a few moments. That's fine. Um, so we all know at least a little bit about what's going on to get people caught up who don't. I'm trying not to get this shown on camera, and I don't think it is, but I don't want it to be just in case because there's some things that I wrote that are contextualized, and yeah. Anyway, for those who don't know, that the story, Jeffrey Epstein was a very rich man. He was a pedophile. He trafficked a lot of girls. A lot of people don't know this, but he also trafficked boys, and he also trafficked adults. Um, the main story is just girls. Excuse me. My throat is so scratchy today. And I don't even know why. This is weird. Man, something's in the air. Anyway, so the main story is he trafficked girls, but he also trafficked boys and he also trafficked adults. This is very well known, but it's not very well reported, and I think that's odd. But that's a conversation for another podcast. I feel like. But the story is, he trafficked everybody. Let's just say that he trafficked everybody. If you thought you were attractive, you were getting trafficked. And I don't think he liked boys at all. He actually said that he wasn't a bisexual, which we'll get into later. But yeah, he trafficked people. He was very rich, and he had a ring that allowed him to do this pretty much without repercussion, up to and including bribing local police, which is how he got away the first time. I'm not going to go down the whole story of what he did and what he didn't do because that's 3 hours of podcasting alone, I swear. But the short and sweet of it is he got busted in the late 2000s for doing what he ended up dying for. And that is, trafficking women, trafficking girls. The problem is the police kind of hid that for a long time, so he got away with it. Hence my comment about him having local police on payroll. But the gist of it is he died in prison after getting caught his second time. After getting caught the second time, he died in prison, and they say that it was a suicide, which it wasn't. We all know this. I don't need to beat a dead horse about that. He didn't kill himself. Next topic. Some people want to debate whether he killed himself at all. I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole because I think that's a distraction. I don't give a fuck if Jeffrey Epstein is alive, personally. If he killed himself in that cell, that's actually a good thing for me because that's a pedophile that's not on this earth. Why are we like, you know what I mean? People are almost like, oh, he's out there, he's out there. It's like, I hope he's not. I really do. And I don't want to spend my time salivating over the prospect that he might be. I think that's weird, and it's a distraction from what matters. So, that's just my opinion on that. If you don't like it, you don't got to listen to it. Nobody's forcing you. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to get the Fuente lit. Trying to get the Fuente lit. Smoking on a Arturo Fuente Chateau Natural. Bless you. Most people just call them Chateau Fuentes. They're good. They're great. It's my favorite cigar, personally. Anyways, this guy, he's a bastard. You hit the cigar one time, you start calling people bastards. Let's get to story time, okay? So, right off rip, I want to say that I've been reading these files a lot. I've sadly seen abuse material. Um, the image that I saw most recently, I think, was of an adult, so that makes me feel better. But I don't even know if she was alive. I mean, we're just gonna come right out and say it. It might have been a dead body. And I'm not. Dang, dude, I spilled hella water on myself. Good God, I look like I pissed myself. That's embarrassing. On camera, no less. Wow. So I don't know if this woman is alive or dead. And I'm not going to reveal the evidence. I'm not going to link the evidence. I'm not even really going to describe the evidence too much. But it's a torture photo, not video. It's just a photo. It's a torture photo. And oh, I get so angry about this. Excuse me. Man, it's right here, literally right in the chest. What annoys me about this photo is, and I didn't know this because I had never seen this photo before. Scout's honor. Um, Apparently, at one point, it was already debunked as not being involved with Epstein. And I don't know the source material, but when I was finding this material, I took the keyword search and I counter sourced it with people on Twitter and people on Reddit and people on, other sources. They said that it was debunked, quote unquote. It was apparently a still shot from a pornography that was um, violent in nature. I don't know. We don't got to have this conversation because I don't believe in having sexual conversations with people that I'm not having sex with. But obviously, there are some people that like having sex that may be a little bit more aggressive or might involve bondage or even inflicting pain. That's fine. Whatever they want to do, they want to do. As long as they're consenting adults, I don't care. But the story goes is this image was already debunked as being a still shot from a porno, which in a porno we always assume it's two consenting adults, right? So they wrote it off as just being a porno. Um, but yet it was in the fucking files. It's crazy, isn't it? Don't you love how the media helps pedophiles cover their crimes? It makes me like giggle because I feel like the Joker about it at this point. Like, let's go blow up buildings. You know what I mean? Not literally, but damn, you know, this isn't okay. So now I haven't done the deep dive on that because how am I going to prove that's a still shot from a porno? That's like such an obscure thing to try to cross reference. The chances of me finding that original source material, if it's in a porno, it's like 0 to none or slim to none. I mean, I'm not going to find that. It's impossible for a million reasons. But the more obvious one is there's a million things that are pornographic on the internet. And then secondarily, of the things that are pornographic, typically the keyword search isn't like torture. You know what I mean? So good luck cross referencing. It's going to be very hard for me to find that. I'm not going to go looking for it. My take is simple. They debunked it, and yet it's in the files. It's probably real, right? And I'm not going to depict what's going on in it, but dude, it's in our face every time. I will say that they reenacted something from a kids movie and turned it into torture for that woman. Um, and that's the furthest I'm going to go into it. You guys find the material and you can draw your own conclusion. But I drew a striking conclusion to a. Oof, that was my knee. I drew a striking conclusion to a or similarity to a movie that I grew up watching as a kid. So that really rocked my world and annoyed me. I found this week, by the way, a couple days ago. So that annoyed me. Um, they claim that there's about 1,100 to 1,200 victims. I think that number's 4 to 5 times higher. And I know that that number is a little bit higher because I know trafficking victims personally, hand to a Bible. I know trafficking victims. No, two of them. And I thought that they weren't involved in Epstein's ring, but they might actually have been. The short and sweet of it is the person that allegedly trafficked them is in the Epstein files 3 times. Um, and that's the furthest I'm going to go into that because any further could reveal way too much. Most of these victims have signed NDAs, but where I'm going with it is I had for the longest time thought that they were a part of a separate, smaller ring. Based on the evidence I've recently come upon, they might not have been. They might have been. I don't know. Where I'm going with it is the official story of 11 to 1,200 victims is a lie. It's at least 4 to 5 times higher. And you got to think. And I don't want to be morbid, but we have to be morbid. This is a morbid crime. Each of these victims were probably trafficked to 10, maybe 20 people. So you're looking at 6 to 7,000 victims. You're looking at 60 to maybe 140,000 perpetrators. That, in my bluntest opinion, is not an exaggeration. Yeah, we're talking almost 250,000 people potentially that could have been involved in this. Everybody you've ever liked is probably involved. There's only a very small amount of people that I can personally confirm that are not complicit in pedophilia in Hollywood and in our politics. And in Hollywood, I'll be honest, the only people I can confirm are people that I actually particularly enjoy. So I physically cross-reference, like, hey, are these people, shitbags, right? Nathan Fillion, he's a good guy. I have the same birthday as him. He's like a B-list actor at best. I would probably even put him as a C-list actor, and that's why he's not in the heebie-jeebie stuff. But he's a nice guy. He's in the ABC show The Rookie. Kenzie and I watch that. He's not in the files. Ro Khanna isn't in the files. That's a Democrat out of California. And Thomas Massey is not in the files. He's in, oh shit. I think he's Kentucky. He's back east, but he's a Republican. He's back east. That's the coolest part. The two people I know and can confirm that are spearheading this conversation are actually one Democrat and one Republican working together. Two people. And they're getting it done. Dude, everybody else is kind of sitting on their heels. So, where I'm going to that is everybody's involved, dude. Your favorite actor's involved. Your favorite celebrity's involved. Some sports athletes might be involved. Um, and it's upside down. And that's part of the symbology. You got shows like Stranger Things. The whole premise of that show is the upside down, where everything's the same but inverted. That's symbology. That's in your face for a reason. Everything is in your face for a reason. At this point, literally every conspiracy is real except for flat Earth, because that's bullshit. I can prove it with math and science. In the moon landing, they say that we didn't go to the moon. That's bullshit. I know for a fact that we did. There's reflectors up there that were physically placed by hands, and they had to have been because they were relayed back and forth, and they weren't in place appropriately. So people on Earth had to tell them, like, hey, dude, you got to move it a few more inches. You got to angle it a little bit more. You got it. That was a whole transaction. If I remember right, it took them like 15 minutes of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, just trying to angle some shit towards Earth. And you think it'd be easy because from their perspective on the moon, you got this big ass rock looking at you. Earth, all you gotta do is point something at it. You think it'd be so easy. It took them 15 minutes. It, off memory, it's probably a little bit more, a little bit less. So don't quote me. But it took them a while. That's my point. And my theory is that we went to the moon way before we actually said we did. And we honestly probably even went to the moon when Kennedy was alive. We just never told him. And I hate that, but that's a possibility. In my opinion, that's a much more realistic possibility than the possibility that we didn't go to the moon. Too much science is involved. I think the official story is fake, like maybe Neil Buzz and oh shoot, everybody forgets the other guy. That's poor other guy. But the three men that originally walked on the moon, that's probably fake. Probably propaganda. But we went on the moon. 100% we did. We absolutely did. Every conspiracy at this point is real until otherwise proven. I mean, dude, I don't even want to say it out loud, but I guess I have to because I'm thinking about it. I'm even willing to entertain the or not the, sorry, I'm willing to even entertain the possibility that Charlie Kirk's not even dead. Like, seriously. I have absolutely no evidence to support it. But at this point, I've seen people fake their death before. We all have. You've seen it in the movies. You've read about it in history. Um, what's that one dude? I can't remember his name. But there's a very well-known man from the Middle Ages that faked his own death. Tupac liked him a lot. Machiavelli, he faked his death. Um, yeah, and that's what Tupac liked. That's what started the conspiracy that Tupac isn't even dead. Which he ain't. I'm just kidding. I don't have any proof for that either. It's fun, but I can't prove that one. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of evidence that people have faked their own deaths over the years. People do it for insurance. People do it because they're trying to get away from fame or notoriety, whatever. Witness protection, and that's what it could have been for Charlie. I don't have any evidence of that, but I'm pondering, dude. I'm pondering. Everybody's involved, and this is the grandest cover up of all time. It really is. At the end of this video, at the very, 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 very end. And if you want to, you can go there right now. You don't have to listen to me. You can just go straight to the evidence. I'm going to post a very dark video um, about a person that's complicit. And for a long time, people said that this wasn't even real. Now, I have been saying since about 2016, at least publicly, I might have done it longer, but I was able to find proof that it is at least far back as 2016. That's when I did it. That's when I was starting to talk about it publicly. Anyways, I was saying about 10 years ago, 9.5 years ago, that the world was run by pedos. And people were like, that's quite the exaggeration. Wow. Hope you feel better, you know? But I said it. And I felt it. And I still feel it. Now I know it. Just the worst part. Um, anyway, I was in college at the time, or I was in tech school. Tech school is basically what it was. Technical trading, or not trading. Technical school to work on cars. Goodness gracious, I can't talk. Anyways, I didn't live with my mom, which meant super duper unfettered access to the internet, which meant I was researching anything and everything my little 18-year-old self could dream about. Which, while you're hitting the cigar there, you almost wonder, most 18-year-olds, they're not researching things, they're just on porn sites. You know what I mean? You're not living with your mom and you got a computer. Oh, God. But that wasn't really me. I've been with my wife forever and a day, so we all know that. But when I was down there, I was Googling everything. I was researching as much as I could. And I stumbled upon some stuff as it was coming out. Anthony Weiner. Stupid name. What a name, right? His name is Anthony Weiner. I'm not even going to tell his story. He's a pedo. Pedos don't get story time. He got busted and they confiscated his laptop. Now, his wife, if I remember right, his wife, her name is Huma Abedin. She was friends with Hillary Clinton, right? Supposedly, the story goes there's a video on Anthony Weiner's laptop that's called Frazzle Drip, and it's been completely scrubbed from the internet. I've heard audio. Never have I seen the unedited video. I have seen an edited video, but as far as I'm aware, I'm gonna have to assume that it's fake because you can't find the real video. And I don't want to. This was 10 years ago when I was a little bit more unaware as to the severity of simply viewing that material. Simply viewing that material makes you a criminal, right? Um, anyway, there's a video called Frazzle Drip. And in that video, allegedly, I'm going to say that. In that video, there is a minor girl who's getting abused. And the abuse is demonic, okay? Like, I'm talking demonic. Um, it's a little girl, and she's being tortured in a manner not appropriate to put into words of a sexual nature. Um, and obviously, she's responding to that with emotion and she's screaming and all sorts of things. Uh, the one thing I will say is allegedly, I cut this little girl's face off. That's the only thing I'm going to put into words there. Well, with this second part, they allegedly did that and they wore it and looked back at her. If I remember right, she was a teenager, but a young teenager. Okay. Now they say this video is fake. They say any and all instances are fake. They say all of that. They say it. Two things. I heard the audio back in 2016. I didn't sleep for 2 nights. I threw up. Sadly, I never got professional counseling for it because how do you? That's something that if you even said that out loud 10 years ago, people would say you crazy. And yet I still attempted to. uh, a big reason why I started this podcast is because I was hoping that I would be big enough and have a channel large enough that when disclosure happened, I would be able to tell my story to enough people. And hopefully, I mean, that can still happen, but I don't have a big channel. Um, but yeah, 10 years ago, I heard that audio and it shook me to my core. And this wasn't the time of AI, so it could have been faked. It 1,000, it 1,000,000% could have been faked, but it couldn't have been AI. Right? So it was definitely somebody's voice, or people's voices rather. Um, I know a man who claims he's seen the original video. He's one of my mom's friends from high school. I won't name him further, but he went a little crazy afterwards. Like he spiraled bad. super bad. He's not the same. He's never been the same. Um, he said the video is very much real, and this is hearsay. I know, this is hearsay. I'm saying what he said. He said. He said. He said. I know. I know. Bear with me. I know. Okay. But Anthony Weiner's laptop was investigated by somebody, right? It was. It sure was. It was investigated by like a dozen cops. I remember right. It was like 8 or 9 of them killed themselves after the investigation. What's that about? What is that about? You know, you got an investigation for, at the time, was just solicitation. Anthony Weiner, the crime that he committed was a drop in the bucket. And again, I'm not giving him story time. He's a pedophile. His neck should go pop. But what he got busted for, dude, drop in the bucket. He got busted with 1 victim. And that was it. He didn't, he wasn't involved in trafficking. He got caught up being a creep. And I don't want to sound too dismissive here, but everybody that's watching this and will watch this, we all know a creep. And that's sick. But we all know a creep. I don't know anybody that's tried to traffic people. Like personally, I don't know anybody. Oh my God. Right? But we all know of Epstein. Anyway, just that way I don't misrepresent the full story. A bunch of cops researched the laptop because they had to. They had to investigate, and a bunch of cops didn't make it afterwards. We'll say that. Now that's tied into, excuse me, that's tied into Epstein, and that's tied into Pizzagate, right? Um, Again, if you try to find this video, you can't. You physically can't. I've done everything in my power to try to find that video. I've gone on the deep web. Um, I've spoken to hundreds of people about it online. All I've ever gotten were people that have claimed to see it, but nobody that could corroborate proof besides the audio. Because I actually never found the audio. The audio was linked to me by somebody else. And they said, hey, this is what I believe to be the audio from that video. That's all we had. It was an MP3 file or whatever. But yeah, the theory goes that they put these kids through trauma so great and so violent because it amps up their blood. It puts adrenaline into their blood. So this gets into the adrenochrome conspiracy. I mean, dude, literally every conspiracy is real. Every one of them. These people worship Satan and satanic entities, which brings me back to my point to my atheist friends. Dude, loud and clear, roger that. I respect your beliefs. But just because you don't believe in something greater does not mean that these elite people don't. Every one of these elites believes in something greater. Every last billionaire, every last multi-millionaire that's like 100 millionaire, they all believe in something. And I absolutely pinky promise you that it's not a good something. So, in my humblest opinion, you should try to believe in something that is good, that is divine, and that is holy, something that'll keep you straight in this world of nonsense and scariness. And that's just me. And by straight, I just mean, on the straight and narrow. That's all I mean. If you want to go have sex like a bunch of heathens, go do that. I don't care. I don't mind that. Do whatever you want. But you want to live a life of good, you want to be a good person because these people don't believe in good and they control everything. They made the phone that I'm talking on right now. They made the app that I'm going to post it on later. and then they're going to have the nerve to demonetize people like me. Not me, because I'm not big, but they're going to demonetize people like me for speaking on a controversial subject. The audacity is insane, isn't it? Man. So, we talked about Anthony Weiner, talked about his laptop, talked about me in 2016 already knowing about this. This happened in October of 2016, by the way. I knew about this like literally as it happened. That's why I'm like, when people say like, "Holy shit, the video is fake" or "the video is," no, no, no. When I stumbled upon this, it was live information. Okay, there were people all over every app, dude, every app, Twitter, Reddit, 4chan, which bear with me, I don't use that much. Twitter, Reddit, 4chan, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat. Everybody was saying like, dude, this video, this exists. It's somewhere. Everybody that was in this conversation was already on the conversation. The Epstein files are literally just the floodgates finally opening. But we're talking about that. That's 2016. Now, Huma Abedin and Hillary, they worked together. They worked together with a man named John Podesta. And he's the man that I'm going to incriminate very, very aggressively in this podcast. I'm going to put him at the end. Super duper trigger warning. Don't watch that. Or don't, that's not a video. Don't listen to that. You know what I mean? It's, now that I'm a father, it made me cry re-listening to that. I listened to it, I think, for the first time in 2019 or 2020. It was right around COVID. It was 2020 for sure because I was home on unemployment. But first time I listened to it, I was a little bit more desensitized. Now that I'm a father, dude, I cry when my kid looks at me a certain way. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just more emotional now that I've had a kid. And I'm thankful for that. I hope that all men could be that way. Find your emotional side once you have kids because they need to see that in your men or in you men. And for the older men, for the men that are my parents' generation, I know you guys haven't cried in probably 15 years, maybe longer. You don't got to do it in front of your spouses because you're probably not ready to, but you should go have a cry. It's good for you. And I say that as a 6 foot tall, bearded, long haired, like masculine son of a gun. Dude, go fucking cry once in a while. It's good for you. But John Podesta, there's uh there's grainy video evidence of him abusing a kid and making him say his name. Except his name is not actually his name. He wants to go by a name called Skippy. And you can hear it in the boy's voice. He's like 8 to 10 years old. You know what I mean? Like, you can hear it. He's young. That ain't Podesta's kid. And John Podesta was the campaign manager for Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Uh, Now, all of these things have code words, right? Like Pizzagate is the code word. I'll try to, here, let me write that down. Here. Pizzagate and all of these things have code words. Um, I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but if I remember right, cheese pizza initially meant child corn. Um, it now has expanded to mean a more specific thing, and the way I understand it is, I think cheese pizza is little kids, and it's not in the context of fun things. Um, I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. I think it's either little boys or little girls. I think it's little girls because hot dogs is little boys. I think that's how that shit goes. This isn't something I try to remember, obviously, because it's if you remember too much of it, dude, you're gonna go fucking crazy. And who knows? Maybe I have. I probably have. I want to riot and at this point harm pedophiles, which I always wanted to do, but now I'm like, it might be worth the jail time. Um, so I'll pull that up and I'll post it. I'll probably post it either here in the overlay or I'll post it at the end in the video, whatever's easier for me to do. And please don't judge me for that, but I got to get the episode out. So whatever's easier for me to do is what I will do. So if you don't see it overlaid while I'm talking, or here a little bit ago, if you don't see it overlaid while I'm talking, just scroll to the end of the video and you'll see the FBI code words. But there's a dozen of them, like maybe even more. You know what I mean? Like they got like hot dog, cheese pizza, spaghetti. Yeah, it's just a lot. It's a lot. Um, where I was going with that though is Barack Obama ordered $50,000 worth of hot dogs for an overnight party that happened in Washington D.C. Now I'm sorry, but I just want to do some quick math, dude. $50,000 worth of hot dogs. I mean, you got to assume you're getting bulk at that rate, right? Bulk pricing on the hot dogs. We'll call it a buck a hot dog. That's 50,000 people if they're eating hot dogs, right? But we got to assume not everybody's going to want a hot dog. Some people might want hamburgers, or maybe somebody might want a salad, or whatever. You get where I'm going with this. If that was really a fucking party, there would have been a lot more than just 50,000 people that are at that party. And there's no record of such party taking place at all. So when I think $50,000 worth of hot dogs, I don't think that's what that is at all. And I think you know where I'm going with that. Barack Obama's in the files. So is Donald Trump. Trump's in it more. I'm just going to cut right to the chase. A lot of people say that Donald Trump is the number one person in the files. He's not. It's Leslie Groff. He's not even like the number 2, 3, 4, 5th, or 6th person in the files. And I don't know what place he's in because that's a stupid thing to rank. The point is he's not the second or number one or even he's not the number one named guy in the files. He's in it. He's a pedo. Next topic. Barack Obama is in it. He's a pedo. Next topic. The Bushes are in it. They're pedos. Next topic. I actually found a document that allegedly proves that the entire Bush family, including George W. Bush's kids, are involved, allegedly. They claim that George H.W. Bush was involved, which I know he was involved because he was in Dallas the same day that Kennedy died, but never had to answer for that despite being there for work. Anyway, George H.W. Bush ended up running the CIA for a while. It's all fun. It's all fun. Everybody's involved, dude. The last great president that we had was John F. Kennedy. And it's funny because they painted him as the ultimate sinner in the public. He cheated on his wife a lot, cheated on her with Marilyn Monroe and other actresses of the time, singers, and he smuggled them through underground tunnels under the White House, and he was just a sex deviant, and da 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 da, and he smoked all the cigars despite banning them, and blah blah blah. You could say whatever the fuck you wanted about JFK. He wasn't harming children. And he wanted to get out of Vietnam. And he wanted to get rid of the CIA and the FBI because they were harming American citizens. Things that are all pretty relevant today. So, Kennedy was the last good guy we had. Whatever guy you voted for that you like, get over it. He's in the files. He's a pedo. Move on. Okay. I'm glad that we had that discussion because look, man, it was weighing on me. Pizzagate is real. Pizzagate is super duper real. I'm not going to talk about that story in depth because it's been hammered home a million times. The short and sweet of it is, there's a pizza parlor out on the East Coast. It was harming kids. They couldn't have that story come out, so they shot it up with the crazy guy. The crazy guy didn't kill anybody. He just shot it up, and then when he shot it up, he perfectly, oh so perfectly, told the media, "Oh, I was wrong. The conspiracy isn't real. I just thought it was." Some bullshit. Like, dude, that was a cover up. Anybody with 2 freaking brain cells knows that's a cover up. Okay, so that's that. Now, while I'm lighting my cigar, I just want to reiterate the fact that I, again, know victims of trafficking. And I put this on the Bible. I put this on my father's grave. I put this on everything that you believe in, not everything that I believe in, because I already just did that. Okay? Everything you believe in, I put this on that. I know victims of the trafficking ring. And like I said earlier, I found out that one of the people that's complicit in their harm, to keep it broad, because I'm not speaking about their story, one of the guys, I said it earlier, he's in the files. Thankfully, there's thousands of men that are in the files, so you're not going to be able to figure out that from just me saying that. Um, but that floored me, dude, because I didn't know that. And I can't really speak on this further. My buddy signed an NDA, or my friends, actually, both of them did. Yeah, both of them signed an NDA. They can't speak on it any more than what they've told me, so I don't know any aggressive details. I do know more than what I'm sharing, and so do 3 or 4 people. I've got a fail safe. I'm not going to take that kind of information to my grave. I'm going to make sure that if anything happens to me, the appropriate people have that information. But the short and sweet of it is I've seen evidence that what my friends went through is very real. And now I've corroborated that evidence with the literal Epstein files from the DOJ. So that's real. And again, I put this on everything that I believe in and everything that you believe in. I've always joked that I'm on a watch list. After being friends with these people, I know for a fact that I am. I'm not going to say how I know that I am because then that would remove my step ahead that I have in some regard. I don't have any step ahead of anybody, but it makes me feel like I do because I at least kind of know that I'm being watched um, digitally, which is fine. I'd rather be watched digitally than physically, but there's ways you can know. I'll let you guys know or I'll let you guys Google how to do that to know how to do that. But it's very easily Googleable. That's how I found out, you know. But figure that out. It's easy to find out if you're being tracked. To give you a hint, apps on your phone won't work the way that they're supposed to if somebody's monitoring you. And that's not even that much of a hint. People on my side of the fence, we already know that. But for people that don't know that, that's a big hint for you guys. If you if somebody's on your shit, your phone's not going to work very well. Um, yeah, You'll see schizophrenics on TikTok that comment on videos. They're like, "Oh my god, TikTok auto scrolled this video. They don't want me to see." To make a joke, it's kind of like that. You know, you got to put your tinfoil hat on for a second. But dude, your phone won't work well. It won't work well. You'll have a brand new phone that's crashing left and right, or it's taking forever to download an image that your friend sent you. Why? Why does it take forever to download an image my friend sent me? Unless it's being screened and filtered and duplicated and sent to somebody else that has a burner of me. What's that about? You know? Anyways, that only started after my friend got attacked. When my second friend got attacked, that shit was already thick. Um, I'd already known. It's tough to talk about this in a vague way. And I don't like doing it that way, but I have to. There is no legal way to discuss this, and that is by design. I want you guys to look into Camp Kanakuk. It's Kanakuk. I think I've already talked about it on the podcast before, but if I haven't, look into that camp, dude. They were sexually harming boys and then forcing them to sign NDAs about it. So they couldn't even talk about their abuse. And then what was worse is they were hiring therapists to talk to these kids so they could talk about their abuse. And then they were weaponizing that abuse against them. True story. Google all of it. Allegedly, just in case. Allegedly, allegedly, allegedly. But that's Camp Kanakuk. Like, dude, this is all by design. These people are getting harmed. They get settled out of court and forced to sign NDAs so they can't speak on anything. I can't speak on the full story of what happened to my friends. I cannot. If I do that, I am complicit in committing a crime. And so are they. So the short and sweet of it is, I know people that have been harmed, they've been trafficked. I cannot speak on it. I know that the people that are involved are 100% related to Epstein, and that's all I can say. Sorry. Oh, and then, yeah, what I've already said too, that people monitor me from time to time. Whenever I'm in contact with my friends, my phone starts getting really slow. Um, so there's that. Um, yeah, it sucks. And I wish them well. They're currently safe, but that could change at any moment. You know, all of this could change at any moment. Virginia Giuffre, that was Epstein's victim that was, trafficked by Prince Andrew. She's in the famous photo. Man, she allegedly killed herself after saying that she wasn't suicidal and after being hit in a hit and run crash that almost killed her. She somehow took her life last year. But anyways, this is, that's the story. Victims' safety can change at a moment's notice. And people just say, why don't you go public? Not me, but like to victims. Why don't you go public? Why don't you find a lawyer that's willing to represent you pro bono? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do this? Dude, because you could die. And in a courtroom, you're actually not very safe. You're very vulnerable. You know what I mean? Like, you want to go public, you do it at I was going to say at a courthouse, but not in a courthouse. You do it outside of the courthouse with picket signs in a crowd where you're safe. You're safe in numbers. You're super duper safe in numbers. You're super, super, super duper safe in numbers. But if you try to sue these people or go public with your abuse, you're in the courtroom and you're naked. They're talking about your most vulnerable day or days, God forbid. They're talking about the abuse that you went through, and they're forcing you to relive the trauma. And they say it so they can convict the perpetrator. But I personally think it's a trigger. They want these victims in court so they can trigger them again with the abuse that they sustained. And that's just what I believe. That's what I believe. Now, there's been a couple of deaths that have happened recently. And yeah, I gotta Google that. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna Google these people and we'll discuss them because yeah, this is very important. I don't know if it ties into this at all, but I'm investigating everything from a new lens. These people died very recently, and now I'm like, wait a minute, whoa, what? Very crazy. We'll be right back, and we'll discuss that a little bit further. Okay, my nerdy ass. I said it. My nerdy ass got the information that I wanted to get, and it ain't too bad, but we're investigating everything from a very weird lens now because everything's changed, right? Man, I can't get this cigar to stay lit, save my life tonight, man. It's tapped out. We'll let it be. Now, there's two deaths that have happened in the past 2 months that have stressed me out. One is actually just in the past few days. I found this evidence today. I haven't had a chance to really dive deep into this, but it's preliminary and it's interesting. I'm going to start with that one. I'm not going to start with that one. Excuse me. I'm going to talk about the one that happened a couple of months ago first, because that one's interesting too. But the one that happened very recently is the one that stresses me out the most. So, Peter Green, he was in Pulp Fiction in the '90s. You guys probably remember him. If you don't, give him a Google. Once you see his face, you'll go like, boom, I know exactly who that is. Anyways, he died in December, about a week and a half before Christmas, on the 12th. He died in December, and it was the craziest situation. He supposedly, accidentally shot himself in his armpit. Okay. Now, I have reenacted this about a million times with an unloaded gun. The only way I can think of a 60-year-old, or I think he was 60, we'll say 60-ish, 60-year-old man who's been around guns his whole life accidentally shoots himself is if he has a shoulder mounted holster, those strap style holsters. He's getting it out like this and he accidentally fires upwards. That's the only way I could fucking see it. Only way. Only way. Only way. There's literally no other circumstance in which somebody accidentally shoots themselves in the armpit. Now, did he have a gun on him? Did he have a holster? Did he have this? Did he have that? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But his other injuries related to the death, um, he had a bruised face, which could be related to him falling afterwards. But dude, I don't care who you are. Even if you accidentally shoot yourself in the arm and in the armpit, you don't fall face first immediately, right? Like you would catch yourself, you'd probably go to the ground, you'd be like, oh my God, like, you're not gonna, you're not gonna just knock out and immediately, face plant. But they're arguing that he face planted and scuffed his face up by hitting the floor, which, maybe if he had had a heart attack or fell from the full 6 feet. But if you shoot yourself, unless it's in the head or the heart, you're not collapsing right away. You're going to kind of make your way to the ground, you know? Now, here's where it gets really interesting. When he died and when they found his body, there was a note in his room. Now, I don't know the proximity, okay? I don't know the proximity. It could have been right next to him, Kurt Cobain style. Or it could have just been in the hotel or the apartment with him. He lives in New York, they have flats, just big, wide, flat apartments. So it could have been like that. I don't know. But there was a note in the room with him that said he was still a Westie. Now the Westies were an Irish gang that supposedly went out. They stopped, like they're not criminally organized anymore. They're out of business, so to speak. They supposedly went out of business and stopped doing their organized crime shit in the 80s or 90s. Yet this guy had a note on his body, basically, that said he was still a Westie. And he died in a shooting that nobody could prove this or that about. What's that about? Come on, dude. We got to ask questions. Everything's got to be questioned at this point. Now, the second death, this is the one that really rubs me the wrong way. Her name is Dana Edith. She died February 15th. That was this week, roughly. Technically on the weekend, or on Sunday. Now, get this. She co-created and co-directs or co-produced, one or the other, but she co-created and you know, creates, damn it. She co-creates a show on Apple TV. It's an Israeli propaganda show. And I'm not even exaggerating. Okay, it's called Tehran, which is the capital of Iran. And the show is about an Israeli super spy, okay? And it's just like super chutzpah, super like, just it's a propaganda film, okay? I don't care who you are, it's propaganda, okay? Literally what it is. It's propaganda. We should never be glorifying spy agencies, okay? The only one I'm down for is James Bond. That's the only spy I'm cool with. Period. Point blank. Next topic, okay? Um, Now, so here's the thing. She died a few days ago, right? They're smack dab in the middle of filming this show, and they're on like the fourth or fifth season. I don't know, because dude, this shit just happened. Like I just found this out today. I didn't have very long to research about it. I think it's a blessing in disguise that I didn't film my podcast last night because I wouldn't have seen this evidence and I wouldn't have been able to talk about it. But this gal allegedly, supposedly, killed herself in her hotel in the middle of filming in the middle of Greece, in the middle of filming a literal propaganda show for Israel, the country that nobody likes right now. What's that about? What's that about? My theory? Dude, they whacked her. They point blank whacked her. And I don't know why. Maybe they wanted to take the show in one direction and she said, no, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. And they whacked her. I don't know. Maybe she knew too much because she was making this show, and she threatened to go public. And they whacked her. Dude, I don't know, dude, but they whacked her. They whacked her. Oh my God, no, there's no way. We don't know what her cause of death was, and I know. Autopsies and cause of death, that shit takes forever. But dude, if it's a suicide, you kind of usually know pretty quick, you know. Like, oh, she hung herself. Oh, she shot herself. Oh, there was a bottle of pills found next to her. I mean, dude, if it's a suicide, this would be a little bit more cut and dry. Why is she killing herself in the middle of filming her biggest project of her career? Why? Why wouldn't she wait to at least finish it? Why would she? Or on the other hand, if she was truly suicidal, why would she start the project? Why wouldn't she just do it before? Huh? That's dumb. That's very dumb. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all, dude. I don't. So that's what I got for you guys today. Okay. And again, I'm gonna try to post. I'm gonna post a couple of things here in a moment. Uh, yeah, usually my outros are a little bit more upbeat than this, but dude, after my outro, it's gonna get a little fucked up. I ain't even gonna lie. So if you want to know about what's going on in the world, if you want to know about John Podesta, who was the campaign manager for Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, If you want to know about actually incriminating information on him, I will play it. And it'll be here at the end of this podcast. But be forewarned. Dude, if you've got kids, it's going to make you cry. And after that, it's going to make you want to join me on March 7th. March 7th, we're protesting, dude. We are out in them damn streets. Out in them damn streets. I'm not filing my taxes. I'm not exaggerating when I said that. As you guys already know, my daughter is going to be homeschooled. I'm over it. Kiss my ass. Yep, you can kiss my ass. I need to go down to Home Depot this weekend and make signs. I need to do all sorts of shit. But I will be protesting. What's going on in the world cannot go on in the world. It cannot. Most of us now are parents. Most of the people my age, most of the people my age now are parents. And look, I don't want to be offensive. Please don't be offended by this, but you are a piece of shit parent if you sit by idly while knowing that this is happening. You are a piece of shit parent. You cannot exist in this world without taking a vocal stance against that. These are the people that rule over you. These are the people that decide your rules while they live by a different set. These are the people that make you pay taxes while they dodge every bit of them. Okay? These are the people that make your kids go to the shitty, rotten education system that they design while their kids go to prestigious schools that cost literally $100,000 a year or more to go to. Okay? Dude, I'm over it. It's time. It's time. I apologize that this episode is not more upbeat, but dude, you got to get the word out. If you are a parent, you have a duty to protect your children, up to and including electing leaders that do not want to harm your children. The school photos, man. The school photos literally were a trafficking thing for Epstein. Yep. Every school photo you ever took, K through 12, went to Epstein. He's seen you. He's seen photos of you. He's seen photos of your kids. If that doesn't piss you off, you are the problem. And you are my enemy. And I will have no problem sugarcoating that. Or I will have no problem not sugarcoating that. None at all. Because that is where I draw my line in the sand. People who harm kids are demonic. And again, to my atheist friends, it's not about what you believe in. These people that harm kids believe in something sinister. And it is our job to stand against that. It is our job to put our feet in the ground and say, no, we will not do that. And we will not allow you to do that. If you want to do that, you get one strike. You're going to jail. You do that again, your head's on a stick. And with that, you guys have yourself a good night. Stay safe. I was just getting ready to edit my podcast, and you can tell I'm still in my garage. John Podesta worked for Joe Biden, even too. Literally, while I'm finding this fucking video, I find that he worked for Joe Biden too. So, Joe Biden may not have diddled kids, but he 100% was friends with people who did. And I will post that evidence now. Be warned. It is very graphic.
You think you're hot shit, don't you? You think you're hot... Listen up! What's my name? What's my name? My other name. What do you call me? I am your father. From now on, you will call me your father. Stop! You will call me your father. What is my name, huh?
I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. I'm singing. Each day I grow some more. And then something more. I'll say, I do. Safety first. Daddy, finding my way. Growing up is not so tough. I had enough. There's a lot of fun stuff with
These people rule over you, bro. It's time to fucking stand up.